Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system, fill your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house and in your job parking lot before you clocking. They don't wanna miss a second of this HT content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn your back and tell you sorry, try again. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hood Table one more again. What's up? How y'all doing? Child, it's been a long day. When I tell you it's been a long day, I had to hit my team up earlier today and do some woosah, because I was literally being cussed out like by clients, like you know, when you want to talk about shit, but you can't talk about shit. You want to talk about shit, but you can't talk about shit. Because of the laws of the land. Child, I wish I could tell y'all about my day at work and the details, but I can't. It's been a long day. Let me just say it's been a long day. This guy earlier, boy, he was motherfucker. There's all this kind of shit. I'm like, sir. Then in the background, oh my God, it was a mess. Then you have to be like, I'm not going to sit here and be repeatedly cursed out, yelled at. Child, it's It was a hard day at work today. It was a hard day at work. But then the last client was so super beautiful, so super sweet, so super kind. I almost wanted to reach out and give her a hug, even though we were in totally different cities. I'm like, oh my God, because you just made last client of the day. Just took up for everything, you know what I'm saying, that I experienced earlier with the other client. I was like, child, anyway, y'all. Anyway, the people who have jobs that deal with people, and you have to like be in their faces, or you have to like, you know, have a real close contact with them. Y'all know what type of, you know, environment that can be. You know, y'all know how difficult that can be, whether you're working at McDonald's, working at a bank, working in a hospital. Some people are just so extremely rude. And they want to take shit out on you a lot when it's not even your fault. And that's what I was dealing with today. So it's good to see you guys here. Make sure you like and share the video on the way in. And also last night, I had posted a video serenading the TC. Y'all know TC, HBCU queen. It was her birthday. So I hope y'all all got a chance to tell her happy birthday if y'all saw her in some of the chats. I did sing happy birthday to her on the live last night, which she was not expecting. And I think I did an okay job, okay? But anyway, like and share the video on your way in. We are going to discuss two different shows, two different platforms, two different time periods, okay? Now, for y'all who know me, if y'all been following me for a long time, y'all know I discuss everything from the hood to the White House, including the B sector, okay? But I have been doing commentary on the R. Kelly shit, on the, you know, the Diddy shit, you know, different things like that over the years. And so when I was doing covers on R. Kelly, I did, you know, the Surviving R. Kelly, you know, all 4 episodes, we did that shit. And then the other day, a few days ago, one of R. Kelly's daughters, the oldest one, her actual birth name is Joanne Kelly. but she changed her name. I don't know if it's because the fact that she's into music, she's a singer, she done theater, she done all kind of things like that. So I don't know if this is her stage name or if she actually changed her name to just, I don't know, kind of help heal who she is and heal her identity. I didn't hear her on either show or either platform that I watched her say anything about why she changed her name. But if y'all know that, feel free to put it in the chat. Now, we're going to discuss basically R. Kelly's children and them coming out on platforms speaking about growing up with him. A lot of the things that we hear from these shows, and I'm going to tell you the first one was a couple of years ago. So the first one was a couple of years ago. You know, when R. Kelly was just all in the news, child. I mean, all in the news. Then he was found guilty and yada, 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 yada. Okay, so that there was a it's on. Is it on Tubi? Yeah, it's on Tubi, but you can also find it on YouTube. But on Tubi, it's a docu-series. Actually, it's only it's two. I think it's two episodes. So it's a docu-series, part 1 and 2, and it's called R. Kelly's Karma: A Daughter's Journey Trapped in the Closet. If you have never watched that, it's really good, y'all. You know I don't ever steer y'all wrong when I recommend shit to y'all. It's really good. I really truly enjoyed it. Of course, I didn't enjoy hearing about the shit. Hey, what up, Tay baby? What up, baby? How you doing, boo? Of course, I didn't enjoy hearing about the shit that he put his family through. Because what do I tell y'all all the time when it comes to these celebrities, Diddy included? A lot of these celebrities out here, they be doing all these nasty, disgusting stuff, and be flying under the radar for years and years and years. And then when that shit comes out and it becomes public, they're not the only one being punished and shamed and ridiculed and or locked up. Their family is basically doing that time with them. And so when you have children, like little children, who got to see this going on, like the thing with Diddy's kids, all his kids are like, they big, they even the youngest daughter, she's like damn near grown, or if not grown, the twins. His sons are grown, but still, it still affects them. The humiliation, the ridicule, it still affects them. But the shit with Kells, his children were very young, and his oldest daughter, Joanne, she, the one we're going to be mostly discussing today, she was really, really close to him. I mean, like as much of a daddy's girl as you can get. Like really, really close to him. She loved him. She worshipped the ground walked on. She worshipped him like the sun and the moon, child. Going up, come down. Like she really, really loved her father. Really. And so when all that shit hit the fan between her and the youngest siblings who didn't experience all that time with him, because the younger ones, they was real, real little. But for her, she had more time, more years with him, knowing who he was as her father. And then when this shit came out with Kells and all the accusations and him going to prison, serving up to 30 years, when all that shit came out, she was like, where's my reality? Is it here at home with daddy in the studio making music, traveling around the world with my daddy loving on me, whoopty whoop whoop? You know what I'm saying? She was like, where's the reality? Because the thing that I learned about Kells and his children and his wife, Drea, is the fact that, Drea said, what did she say? She said, you know what? Somebody told me one day, because, Kells had a very, he had homes, okay? He had homes in different area codes, okay? And the main home was in Chi-Town, right? Where he's from. And Drea has said, you know what somebody told me was the reason why you have such a big, tall fence around your whole house, the perimeters of your property, is not for Kells to keep people out. It's to keep y'all in. It's to keep y'all in. And that's literally what he did. Kept them in. Like whatever they needed, he would have people go to stores, order stuff, buy stuff for them. They had a nanny. They was homeschooled. They didn't go to public school or nothing like that till after his ass went to prison, and they didn't have no money for all these, the homeschooling and all this, living in the big house. They had to move out, find a new way of living, because with him and all the attorneys and paying all these judgments and shit like that, lawsuits, they didn't have a whole lot of money for nannies and all that shit anymore. So when she said, when I heard that, she said it made me think. It really made me think, because we watched the Surviving R. Kelly, and we basically heard from his victims and heard from maybe people he worked with, heard from his friends, heard from people he grew up, heard from his siblings. But it's only certain times that we actually hear the children speak out, and it's not a lot. So I want to talk about it. But yeah, Drea said, when it came to that fence, she said it really made sense to her then, or the gate. I should say the gates. See, normal folks, we have fences. Then some people have the privacy gate, and then there's the gate. That'd be like 30, 40 feet tall all around the house. Really thick metal and shit like that. But she said, one time the Olympia police, because the house was in Olympia in Illinois, like on the outskirts or, of Chi-Town, Chicago. And she said one day the Olympia police told her that big old gate around your house was not to keep people out, but to keep y'all in. And she said right there in that moment, it was real clear to her, because they had no contact with friends and family. The same way he isolated the girls and the ladies that he was messing around with and or abusing, how he isolated them. If y'all watched the Surviving R. Kelly, the 4 episodes, y'all remember how the women that he would put them in hotels or put them in penthouses, and they couldn't leave for shit. They had to have special permission to leave the premises. Everything was delivered to them. There were times where they couldn't even go to the bathroom if he had them stuck somewhere in a room in his house. He had buckets in there for them to use the bathroom. He would have people bring them food. He would have people bring them water. He kept them isolated and restricted from their family and their friends. And that's the same shit he did with his children. And I never realized that. I never knew that till I started watching these docuseries from the children. They was like, they had no family. If they had family, it was only the ones that he chose to be around them. If they had friends, it was only the ones that he chose to be around them. So yeah, he kept them isolated, and they didn't go to public school until all the shit hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? Till all the shit hit the fan, because they were homeschooled. And when you homeschool, that shit ain't cheap. You might as well be sending your child to private school. But he never wanted anybody to know who his kids were. And that's why he isolated them. And that's why he kept them, basically isolated to the crib. And if they were to be out and about, they were with him. Like if he was traveling or on tour, they would be on the bus, things like that. But he still kept them isolated. Like the daughter, the oldest one, Joanne, she said, you know what? I remember coming up and growing up, and people was like, we didn't even know your dad had a wife. A lot of people didn't even know he was married to Andrea until she appeared on that reality show. A lot of people didn't know about her, that he was married and that he had 3 kids. They didn't know. And so they was like, he kept us so isolated. People didn't even know he had kids. She said people didn't even know we existed. She said that's how isolated we were from the world. And she said, I don't know if he did it because he was out there doing some fuck shit, or if he knew how the industry could be to us. She said, I still don't know. I don't know. And she said, I would like to think that he just wanted to protect us from the media and scrutiny, over the years and things like that. But she said, she really don't know the exact reason why he kept them so isolated. He kept his children so isolated, they didn't even know how famous he was. They didn't know how the world worship. And I do say worship because some of y'all asses still worship the ground R. Kelly walks on, regardless of why he's in prison, facing up to 30 or, potentially serving 30. Some of y'all still, well, I got friends who I don't judge. I don't judge. They know I don't do him no more. They know I don't play him no more. If I happen to be somewhere and somebody playing the shit, I ain't going to be like, turn it off. Or I'm not going to leave the event or whatever. But as far as my home, my car, my space, I don't play him anymore. That's my personal preference, just like it's your personal preference if you want to continue stepping in the name of love. Okay? But there are some people who still worship the ground. You know what? If you still worship the ground that he walks on after watching his daughter's docuseries, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, when you watch the docuseries, she's damn near, and that's why I want to discuss both shows. I want to discuss the docuseries that his daughter Joanne, she was the main one. Her brother and sister, they spoke in there too. Her mom Andrea spoke in there too, but she was the main focus of the docuseries. Okay, so she could not get through this entire docuseries, part 1 and part 2. She literally cried when it first opened up. She was inconsolable. She couldn't even get out her first words when it first opened up. They was like, just turn the cameras off. Turn the cameras off. At the beginning of the docuseries, she said she feels 100% that he is exactly where he needs to be, in prison. This is the daughter that was a daddy's girl, that wanted to go with him everywhere, wanted to be with him all the time. He even dedicated songs to her. He even made a song with her. You know what I'm saying? And she now looks back at those songs like, ew. What can you possibly think when your dad is singing a song to you, and he was singing all these songs back in the day about doing all kind of shit to people underage? She's like, ew. He's exactly, his children, not just her, but his children, all 3 of them, say he is exactly where he needs to be, in prison. And when she's doing this docuseries, she's pregnant. So, when you're pregnant, you can be a little stressed out. You know what I'm saying? You can be in your fifis, the hormones and things like that. But she was literally like crying and snotting through the whole thing, tissue, all that kind of stuff, trying to talk and just trying to get through it. So we're going to discuss that first. Then we're going to discuss an interview she just did a few days ago. And I'm telling you, when I say it was like a total 160 from her behavior, her mentality, her thoughts, it was a total 180. So, yeah. So anyway, when she did the docuseries called A Daughter's Journey, well, it's called R. Kelly's Karma, A Daughter's Journey Trapped in the Closet. And when she did that, she was pregnant. I think she said she was, how many weeks pregnant? I think she was kind of big. I think she was like 8 months she was 8.5 months. It was 8 or 8.5 months or something like that when she was telling her story. But so again, that could have had something to do with her, constantly breaking down through the docuseries. But she was 8.5. By now, she's already had her baby. In the clip, it shows like her baby and all that kind of stuff after her baby was born. But she did have a miscarriage before that. We're going to get into that also. She did have a miscarriage before that. And just 1 second. Sorry, I had to get a drink of water. Throat became dry. Y'all YouTubers, y'all know who it is when y'all be doing commentary. Throat be all dry and shit. But anyway, when she did open up, she said she really did love her dad. This is at the beginning of the docuseries. He was her superhero. She was a daddy's girl. And then she made very clear in the beginning. In the beginning, there was God, But no, in the beginning, she was a daddy's girl. But that happened to change, the moment their lives came crumbling down. But one thing she did credit was her mother. Now, Drea, a lot of people would drag her through the mud over the years. How you didn't know? Why you didn't tell? Why you didn't come out and say you was abused until after he was arrested and after he was in jail and da-da-da. Before then, you act like, he was all that. Life was perfect. Your family was fine. But in hindsight, it wasn't. And that's for us because they knew what was going on behind the walls, behind that gate. They were being, she was being abused. And per her father, who is also on the docuseries, Drea's father, nice looking, older black gentleman, very handsome. But he is also on the docuseries, and boy, that man hates R. Kelly. He hates him so much because his daughter, Drea, was abused by him. And he said R. Kelly was not a father. He said, basically, let me tell y'all what he said. Child. Let me tell y'all what the grandpa said. The grandpa had a lot to say when it came to, you know, how he felt about R. Kelly. And one of the things he did say was he wasn't a father. He said some people may disagree with me, and some people may even dislike me. This is the grandpa, Drea's dad. And he said, some people may even dislike me for it, but I'm going to tell you how I honestly feel in no uncertain terms, that I hate Mr. Kelly. That's what the grandpa said. He said, I hate Mr. Kelly with every fiber of my being. And they was like, well, why do you despise him so much? He said, because how he hurt my babies. And when he said how he hurt my babies, y'all, I almost broke down because he broke down. He said, I just need a minute. And he walked away from the chair. He walked away. He said, because he hurt my babies. And he said he would go to any length to demean, to denigrate, however you say that shit, isolate them from the life that they deserve. The grandpa said he was selfish, he was uncaring, he was controlling, and he was brutal. And he made them feel less than they should have ever felt. And he had half the world on his side. Can you imagine being that family, Drea and the kids? He said all this about R. Kelly, how he treated his family. But he had the entire world. Well, he said half the world. Okay, I give it half the world what he said. Half the world on his side. Why his family had to suffer in silence. Why they had to suffer in silence? Because he kept them isolated. He kept them isolated. If they weren't on tour with him, the kids didn't even have friends. They couldn't even fuck around with their own family members. Like, it was just them, which resulted in them being really, really close. You know, that's why they really close to their mother. Oh, the kids love Drea. They love her. They appreciate her for trying to protect them over the years, especially from all the media and all the scrutiny. You know what I'm saying? All the judgment. Even after he went to prison, was losing all his money, and how she still held it down together. When you go from being married to one of the richest guys in the world, one of the most talented people in the world who could always make money. That man, if this shit never happened, he probably one of those old ass, like them old ass white singers that's like 95, 100 years old, still singing, damn near blind, hair gone, walking with a cane, or sitting in a motherfucking wheelchair, still singing. Like, that voice could have probably survived. And you know, he's facing up to 30. And I keep saying facing like he ain't already in prison, but y'all know what I mean. He has to do up to 30 years. So we don't know exactly when he's going to get out. But it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time. 30 years? 30 years? And I can't remember if they say he might get out early with good time or he might be eligible for. I can't even remember, child. I cannot remember, to be honest. Put it in the chat if you remember, because I do not remember. Okay? But when the daughter was telling the story, you know, of how when they went to school, because remember, they were homeschooled. When he was out, not in prison, when life was still good. When life was still good, they were homeschooled. But once everything came out, they had to go to school like everybody else. They had to go to school like everybody else. And a lot of the stuff they were being protected from. You know, a lot of the things that he was doing, the things that he had done, they were protected from. And that's why his daughter said, I didn't know what to believe. This reality of me growing up with him, or this reality with them saying he's been doing all this stuff to younger people and adults and, all this abuse. She didn't know what to believe. But once they went to school and everything came out, they talked about how they was bullied. The kids were super mean. Because, his oldest daughter, the oldest one, she was at least homeschooled through the 5th grade. So, and then keep in mind, she didn't realize none of the kids, well, she was the oldest, the rest of them was much, much younger. But she didn't realize how famous her father was. She didn't realize it. So when he got caught up in that shit, she got caught up in that shit. And like I said, the families, they sometimes get the brunt of the punishment. You might be in jail, you might be locked up, but then there's people out here treating your family like shit, especially the kids. Even though the kids didn't have shit to do with it. Now, Andrea, I can see why she got backlash. Her ass was with that nigga for all them years. He had women secretly in his motherfucking house, locked up in dark rooms, where he made them do all kind of shit with all kind of niggas, including him. And then he recorded. Y'all remember he had duffel bags on top of duffel bags on top of duffel bags of tapes from taping all kind of shit. Y'all remember that shit? They confiscated all kind of duffel bags full of tapes. And y'all, ain't nobody gonna ever forget that one tape that I hit on again the other day. When the 14-year-old girl. Yeah. So yeah, he had a lot of tapes, and he kept them tapes for years because he was a voyeur. He liked voyeurism, watching people, It's one thing to be like watching Pornhub, but when you making people do all kinds of despicable things and you're abusing people and then you watch it over and over again, that's Diddy right there. That's Diddy right there. It's sick. It's sick and disgusting to watch somebody be abused and have stuff done to them when they might not even be in their right mind. They under the influence of shit. Don't even know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. But anyway, it was so bad at school to where they had to keep switching schools. Why? Because some of the schools, sometimes it wasn't just the kids bullying them and talking about them and shaming them for their daddy's works. Fuck all the music. The kids wasn't thinking about no music. They wasn't thinking about how well he could sing. They was thinking about your daddy did this and your daddy did that and that he broke it. I can imagine all the shit that the kids were saying at school. But not only that, some of the schools didn't want them in the school. Now, mind you, this was before he was actually sentenced. So some of the schools didn't want to take a chance. They didn't want to risk him being able to come pick them up. Because remember, Drea and them, when she got separated and filed for a divorce and shit, the judge, even though she told him how bad he was abusive to them and how he did this and that, the judge kept letting Kels have visitation rights with the children. So when she first filed for the divorce and everything like that, the schools did not want the kids at their school. Because why? Because R. Kelly was very well known and it was proven that he likes to be with little kids. And he used to ride up around all the not the high schools, back it up. He used to ride around all the grade schools and the junior high schools, okay? You know the ones going from the 6th to the 7th, and the ones going to the 8th to the 9th, or the 9th to the 10th, or however they junior high. Some junior highs do the 6, 7, 8. Then 9th grade starts senior. We used to have a school like that back in the gap that did that 6, 7, 8. But now all of our junior highs are 7, 8, and then high school started 9. But yeah, he used to roll around to all the McDonald's where all the kids hung out, all the junior high school kids. So them schools had every right to be concerned. If he come pick up your kids, how we know he ain't gonna try to pick up somebody else's kids, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, that was a big thing for them. It was hard for Drea to find schools to keep her kids in. But But what shook me to the core was finding out that he actually did something to his own daughter. The one who used to look up to him, the one that used to worship him. When I tell you this was like a real life lifetime for women's shit, like before she even spoke about this, Drea had spoke about how when she left him, she left him. She called her dad, the grandpa, the one that was talking, here and there throughout the docuseries. She called her dad, told him she was leaving for good, told him where to meet her, what time of day. It was late at night, and I swear it was like a real lifetime for women's movie. You know those movies where the women are being abused and they escape in the middle of the night to a shelter or to someone's house, and it was just like that. She packed up. She had already packed up all their shit, but the kids didn't know because you can't tell your kids. Oh, we gonna run away. Especially if they really, really love their father. Oh no. They'll be crying and kicking and screaming and trying to tell daddy what's going on. Mama trying to make us leave. So she had to do it in the middle of the night. She had to secretly make arrangements with her father. He met her in the middle of the night with the kids. And why was that the first time they ever met their grandpa? Ain't that crazy? He had 3 kids by Drea, and that's how isolated he kept them. They never met their grandparents before. They were like strangers. Their grandparents were strangers to them. But of course now after all this time, they love their grandparents, and the grandparents love them. The grandparents always love them. But they literally ran away from the house of horror to live with strangers that they didn't even know. But again, they were excited to meet their grandparents. But then with the courts and the judges, you know how they set up. Sometimes when you file for divorce, no matter what you tell the judge, no matter the restraining orders, no matter how you telling you they beat you or whatever, sometimes the judge and the courts be on the abuser's side. So they still granted Kel's visitation rights. And that's why the schools didn't want, not all the schools, but that's why some of the schools in that area in Chicago didn't want them in their school, because they knew he had visitation rights and he could say he want to pick up the kids. Be sitting outside in the parking lot sitting on a lollipop. Talking about age ain't nothing but a number. Yeah. So the judge allowed him to get the kids every weekend. And what was going on every weekend? If it wasn't for him picking up the kids and they never spending time with them, but he wanted to make it look good to the judge. You know how some parents, they pick up the kids, they take them to the house, but they might leave the kids with somebody else. They out hanging out, running around, on dates, partying, whatever, and the kids at the crib. So that happened a lot. And then on top of that, he was fucking touching on his damn daughter. Child, when I heard that when the docuseries came out, I was like, what? You lying to me. A lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people didn't know that. And if it wasn't for the courts and the judges granting him those rights, that shit probably would have never happened. Because Drea was never going to let him be around them kids by himself. All the shit that was out in the media, all the way back to Aaliyah, all the way back to the 14-year-old girl, it's not that far-fetched that a grown-ass man who likes to have relations with kids would not touch their own kid. And I think Drea saw that coming. And she tried in court. She tried as she might, but she couldn't keep the judge from allowing him to visit his children. And so Kels ended up sexually assaulting his own daughter. And when she finally broke, it was really sad. She started doing drugs. She started cutting her wrists. She's like, R. Kelly put his kids through shit. We think he put these women and these younger ladies through shit. He put his own children through shit. Like, it's such a fucked up thing to do. and then to turn around and do the same shit to your family, like it ain't enough. Like you didn't have enough people out here that you was already fucking on and touching on, and you had to go and fuck around with your daughter too. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I just wanted to give y'all a recap of that because that docuseries came out 2 years ago. But again, some of y'all never saw it. So I just wanted to give y'all a recap on that before I get into the most recent interview that same daughter did. That same daughter was recently, y'all know, what's her name? Reginae Carter, Lil Wayne's daughter. Well, she has this show on YouTube and it's called Hair. Hair like the child of a rich person or the child of somebody who left on a lot of money, HEIR. Even if you broke, you're still the hair of your parent, right? But anyway, hair really means something when you got money, right? Any other time it's just that's their baby. That's their daughter, that's their son. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Reginae, what she does is she speaks to people and she interviews people on her platform that have had fathers or parents in the entertainment world. So that's what she does. She interviews children of, with a certain status. So she didn't interview, like, let's say, for instance, Tip. She didn't interview his children. You know what I'm saying? So she interviews celebrity kids. And that's why it's called Hair Time, HEIR. But yeah, check it out. She got like 600,000 subscribers. Reginae always been popping as the daughter of Lil Wayne. Child. She always been popping. She's been on reality shows, Kids of Hip Hop or whatever it was called. She was on a reality show with her mother. Toya, is that her name? I can't remember. Toya, I think is her name. But yeah, so she's been out there, in the media and in the industry and, out there. She knows all about the life of having a parent in the industry and also having a parent who might have served some time, went to jail, got in a little trouble, stuff like that. So anyway, recently, and I just have to say, I am so proud of R. Kelly's oldest daughter. She went from being also abused by him, the same way he was doing other women and other girls. He was doing it to her. She went from having a miscarriage and having to carry her baby around for 2 weeks because some miscarriages, that's how it used to be. I don't know if it's still like that, but you have to carry that fetus inside of you until it passes. Like they give you something, because some people don't want to have that big old vacuum stuck up the bathroom sitting there with your legs open, they sucking it out, throwing it in the trash or whatever they do with it. So some people take like something to get rid of it. And she said it took 2 weeks for it to pass. And that time she was depressed. She was depressed because of her father and the media and what he did to others. She was depressed because of what he did to her sexually. She was depressed because she lost her first baby. She started doing drugs. She started cutting on herself, slicing her arms. You know how some people are. That's just something they do. They self-harm. She started self-harming herself and everything. And it took her some time. It took her a lot of time to get over everything that she'd been through. And even with disclosing what he did to her, she didn't even know it was wrong. She didn't even, how kids have stuff done to them by adults when they're young and they don't even know it's wrong? Why? Because it starts so young that the kid thinks it's a natural thing to do. Most kids who were sexually abused as a child, they were so young, they didn't know right from wrong. A lot of them didn't know right from wrong until they would get older and they would get in school and they would see these commercials and they would hear people talk about it. Then the counselors in school and shit like that, then they would let like a teacher know or a counselor know. Well, my daddy been doing that for me since I was 4. You mean to tell me that's abuse? I thought he just loved me. He told me he's preparing me for, growing up and, so I won't be hurt later. Or, how grown-ups tell them lies to them little kids. This means daddy really loves you so much, but don't you tell nobody. I love you more than mommy, but don't you tell nobody. So she didn't even know. And then there's a thing called delayed disclosure, which is the phenomenon common to survivors of child sex abuse, where individuals wait for years, often decades, before disclosing to others that they have been victims of abuse. And if y'all recall, a lot of people go through that delayed disclosure. And if y'all recall, do y'all remember when R. Kelly has said that his kids was being brainwashed? Do y'all remember that? We talked about that shit on the hood table, okay? We talked about that shit on the hood table. R. Kelly was up there saying his children was being brainwashed because they didn't want to see him. They didn't want to spend time with him. And one thing she said on the show is, you know exactly what you did. You know exactly what you did to me, to my mama, to my sister, to my brother. She had to go through all that abuse and watching him abuse everybody else in the family, and then turn around and watch her mother try to heal from it. It's one thing to watch your mother be abused and hit all the time and beaten. Then to see them struggle trying to heal from it, it takes years to heal from it. And then within all that time, she had never told her mother what he was doing to her. She didn't even know it was wrong until all these things start coming out about her dad. Messing around with little girls, doing this, doing that. She was like, oh, shit. They were isolated. They were homeschooled. They didn't know who their daddy really was. They knew he was a singer. They knew they had a lot of money. They knew they could go shopping and have whatever they want. But they really didn't know what he was doing outside them doors like that. They were isolated. So isolated that he was doing stuff to his own daughter and she didn't even know better. She didn't even know better. Had she probably been in public school or regular school, and you know how they discuss that? They talk to children. They don't go all into details, but they have you ever heard of CPS? Do y'all know what CPS is for? If you are being abused, if you are being beaten, if you are being, you know what I'm saying? Kids around like I don't want to say maybe 5th, 6th grade. That's around the time where they usually find out about what's right and wrong from school. So when you're isolated from regular schools and you're homeschooled and you're not allowed to go anywhere unless it's like on tour with your father, yeah, that's a lot to keep inside of you while you're watching your mother being beaten and your siblings being abused, and then watching your mother try to heal, and you got all this shit on the side of you. All that shit on the side of you. She literally said, I thought I lost both parents. She thought she lost both parents because her mother, and this is the crazy part, y'all, all of them thought about killing themselves, especially the daughter because she was slashing her wrist. But all of them thought about unaliving themselves. They didn't know who would do it first. That's how bad their life was after the shit hit the fan with their dad. It was bad. It was real bad. And again, if y'all want to check out the docuseries, it's on Tubi, but it's also on YouTube too. You know, where the daughter, you know, it's a docuseries part 1 and part 2 where she speaks out on, you know, all the things that they experienced living with R. Kelly. But so she said we weren't brainwashed. He's lying. We were not brainwashed. You know exactly what you did. And you're exactly where you need to be. All his kids said he is exactly where he needs to be, and that's in prison. And she said, as far as him talking about they were brainwashed, she said it's ridiculous and it's really unfair to continue saying that they were brainwashed when he knows what he did. Okay? So, now to the current interview that she did with Ray Janae. I never seen Ray Janae do an interview, y'all. I'm proud of her too. I'm proud of R. Kelly's daughter and the road that she's on because she is doing so much better. I'm telling you, when you watch the docuseries, then you watch the interview with Ray Janae, it's like it's almost a totally different person. Ray Janae was answering her questions, was like, how did you hold on, let me go to one of the questions Ray Janae asked her. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so One of the questions that, because she asked her, it's about an hour long, probably about an hour long interview, give or take. But one of the questions Regina asked her was, do you feel like with everything that, like, in the media that y'all went through the media, um, do you feel like it really like affected your family as far as like y'all being able to go on and live a successful life and things like that? And she was like, with all the abuse that basically went on in their household and all the media attention and all the negativity out there in the world, they were still able as a family to draw strength on each other. I like that. And she said our mom helped us be able to do that. Even though the mom was depressed, she had been beaten, she had thought about unaliving herself. She trying to keep her kids from unaliving themselves. And she was like, my mental state was crazy, during all the controversy. And she was like, well, how did you pick yourself up? And what R. Kelly's daughter said was, I think I'm still learning. I'm still learning, with different coping mechanisms and, how to be the healthiest for her. What up, Jill? Hey, beautiful. How you doing? But yeah, she said, I'm still learning, what is actually the healthiest for me. And she said, it's no secret that, I definitely struggle with like mental health, substance abuse. But she said, to be clear, she wasn't taking super hard drugs. It was like weed and alcohol. But she said, at the end of the day, at certain points in my life, that was definitely something I struggled with. And she said that was my way of coping with it. But she said now she tries to keep her focus on God. And she said she 100% believes in God. And she said on her hardest days, she just tried to remind herself that there is something bigger than her. There is something always bigger than what she has going on. And so she tries to definitely keep focus on God. She tries to keep humble, keep herself in line, keep herself in check. But she said, yeah, sometimes she feel a little, like I gotta have a little drink. And sometimes I hit the blunt. She did say that, but she said I do pray and I do go to church. She said it just depends on the day, how she's feeling or whatnot. And then she said, Regina asked her, I just wanted to know, with everybody like always in your ear on the blogs, talking about all this controversy. She said, how do you feel, this is the question. How do you feel that people should take consideration about you and your feelings and your family? Like, what do you tell people? And she literally basically said, they do have to take in consideration of our feelings, because we're not the ones out there that was hurting people. We're human. Like, we have feelings. But she said, at this point in my life, I don't really care no more. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I couldn't really sit here all day and give a whole speech about how you should be a good person and be kind and considerate. But everybody's not going to do that. And she's talking to all the people out there that be, shooting off about them in the media, right? She said most people are not going to be kind and considerate. They're going to look at this interview and talk about both of us like it literally doesn't matter. So she said, you know what? I just got to try to stay positive. I got to stay on the road that I'm on, like with her music. Oh, she can sing, y'all. And his son can too, and he's a rapper. The two youngest ones, they write, they produce. And the oldest daughter, the one who the docuseries is mainly about and who did the interview with Ray Janae the other day, she sings, writes, they all write their own, just like their daddy. Well, he didn't write because he couldn't read or write. But he said it. Somebody else wrote it or he recorded it and somebody else, child. Anyway. But yes, and then she's like, it's old news. She feel like it's old news, even though it's not really old news because it just happened like 3-4 years ago. I mean, it's still kind of fresh in a lot of people's minds. A lot of people still don't want to step in the name of love no more. They might eventually later. I even said, y'all know I cut him off years ago when too much shit was just hitting the fan. Too much gossip, too much accusations, too many rumors. And I cut his ass off years ago. And I even said so. Maybe one day I will step back in the name of love. Maybe one day I will play You Remind Me of My Jeep. Because I was a diehard. When I say as diehard as you can get, when I say I had every fucking CD that all the way back from the group that he was with, Public Announcement, before he broke off to do his own thing, all of them. I was a diehard Kels fan, diehard. But when this shit happened, I said, And I told people maybe it has to do with something that happened to me when I was younger by an older person. And I never went into detail with y'all, but I've spoken about that before. Yes, I'm a victim. Yes, I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. Oh, so shit like that. So maybe that has something to do with it. And then I just can't. Every time I hear his music, I just cringe. I really cringe. Like I just want to. And I know some people say you shouldn't internalize it. It's like it's really hard to do that sometimes because when you experience something like that, and you know how it feels to have stuff done to you like that, and then you hear this grown ass man just that's what he loves to do. That's what he loves to do. Most of his music were written to young people to attract young people. Like, how could you not? But anyway, like I said, I ain't judging people who still fuck with that nigga. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But anyway, his daughter said, she's just trying to move on. She got a son to live for now because, she had an abortion with the first one. But she did have Carrie full term. The next time that she got pregnant, she's like, I got a whole new life to build. And she's trying to get back into her music. And I heard her sing. She sounds pretty good. I saw a video of her singing when she was like 14. And he definitely passed down some talents to those kids. Definitely. Like the son, I saw him doing a little, rapping, bouncing around the stage. I was like, oh, and he sings too? Child. But yeah, she did say that music is therapy for her. She tried to fight it because she's always loved music. She always thought that she would grow up and be a musician, a singer. But after all the shit that she went through with her father, she was like, fuck that shit. I'm going to focus on a different type of career. And that's what she did. But she said the music kept calling me. And so she went back to it. And so now that, she had her baby. It's been some time now that passed. And so she wants to get back into her music because she said it's really like her therapy. And she said, she said she thought she was making music for herself for a long time because it really helped her. But she said she's now in a space where she wants to really create music that resonates with others more than what it resonates to her. So that's what she's focusing on now. But I'm proud of Reginae. I think I might. Did I subscribe to her channel? I'm gonna subscribe to Reginae's channel and click the notification bell because she did a really good. And I always knew that Reginae was gonna be, I don't know, somebody. Not just because her daddy is Lil Wayne, but she's always been so like bubbly and so outgoing and so extra, and so I'm not surprised that she has a successful platform like that. She got almost 600,000 subscribers, and she be interviewing all kind of celebrities, and that's what a lot of these celebrities be doing nowadays. A lot of the celebs be interviewing other celebs, so that's what she's doing. Kudos to her. And as far as R. Kelly daughter, I hope she continues on this healing journey. With her music. I'm looking forward to some of her music. She said something's going to drop soon. She's working on something that's going to drop soon. So I'm looking forward to hearing her music. And the other siblings, if they, But it seems like the youngest daughter, who's also a trans man, by the way. Not no shade, no tea or nothing like that. I'm just letting y'all know. But if I didn't know better, I would have thought she was born a boy. She looks just like a boy. And I was watching the show, the docuseries, when it came out like a year or so ago. And she kept talking about her sister and brother. And I'm like, well, I keep seeing the brother. When the sister gonna pop on the doggone docuseries? And that's what I realized, that was the sister, the light-skinned one, transitioned to a man. It's a trans. And I was like, oh, damn. She looked, damn. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, check that out if you want. I'm gonna put in the description box under my video. I'm gonna put the name of the docuseries and where you can find it. Then I'm also gonna put the link to Regine's interview that she did with R. Kelly's oldest daughter. But yeah, I think you definitely should watch the docuseries first, because the girl was like literally dealing with trauma and real pain. She couldn't even get through the part 1 or part 2 without just constantly crying. And so to see her with Regine like 4 or 5 days ago doing that interview, she's just so strong now and so confident. And you can just tell that the whatever she's doing to heal herself is working. And now she has a baby. And they asked her, like, would you ever take your baby to jail to see his grandpa? She's like, hell no. I ain't gonna never take my baby to the prison. But she says when one of his songs play, if they out somewhere and about, she'd be like, that's your dad. She said, I still love my dad, even though he, touched me too and did some of the same shit to me that he was doing to other girls and other, I still love my dad. But I will never take my child to go see him in prison. And she said, but I will, talk to him about his grandpa as he gets older. And she said he'll learn a lot of stuff about his grandpa as he, constantly getting older. But right now he's still young, so she's not trying to definitely tell him none of that shit that Kelson went through or put people through or put her through. She's just like, that's your grandpa. He sings. That's my dad, stuff like that. But anyway, y'all, thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed my coverage, my commentary on the TV show, the docuseries, and also on Regine's interview that she did with R. Kelly's daughter. But again, the docuseries is on Tubi, and it's also on YouTube. Just type in R. Kelly's Karma, A Daughter's Journey, Trapped in the Closet. And it's about his daughter, Joanna Kelly, a.k.a. the name she goes by today is called Buku Abi. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But she was born Joanna Kelly, and she goes by Buku Abi. So that's the name of the docuseries. And then if you go to Regine's channel, which is called Higher Time, H-E-I-R, like higher, like children of, children, higher, H-E-I-R, somebody who got something handed down to them, passed on down to them, like all the riches and all that kind of stuff. A heir to the throne, heir to the estate, heir to the, the kingdom, heir, like H-E-I-R. That's the name of Regine, which is Lil Wayne's daughter, Toya. That's the name of her YouTube channel, her platform, Hair Time, H-E-I-R space T-I-M-E. Okay, so I'm gonna put the links to both of those in the description box, so you can check them out if you want. But anyway, again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you want to donate to the platform, $ the Hood Table 402, or you can hit the Cash App. And if you even watching the replay, you can hit the Cash App, or you can hit the Super Chat, or whatever. But most importantly, please make sure you like and share this video, especially if you haven't already done it. If you are new here, please feel free to subscribe to the Hood Table and hit the notification bell, please. And thank you very much. And lastly, what we always say before we go, y'all can say it with me. Always remember, stay safe, be blessed, remain vigilant at all times, and always remember to keep it hood. I'm out. Bye.